Hare Krishna, liebe Gäste, liebe Devotees, ein sehr schönes Willkommen zu unserem Sonntagsprogramm im Krishna Temple Zürich. Dear guests, dear devotees, very happy to welcome here to our Sunday program at our Krishna Temple Zurich. Is someone here for the first time? Hare Krishna, welcome to all of you. Then I will just shortly mention our program. We will now have a talk on Krishna consciousness, wisdom, philosophy. At 5 o'clock there will be a vegetarian feast. At 6:15 guided mantra meditation. At 7 o'clock a temple ceremony. And from 8 o'clock onwards we will sing more mantras and kirtan. For today's talk, we are very happy to invite His Grace Jaya Krishna Prabhu. Please welcome him with a big Haribol. Haribol! Prabhu, he is coming from New Vrindavan. It's a place in the US, in West Virginia, and that temple is one of the earliest temple that Srila Prabhupada founded, and the motto of the temple is to show how a sustainable, simple life can be. Prabhupada's motto of simple living and high thinking. And Prabhu is there serving as a temple president. And Prabhu joined actually the Krishna conscious movement in Switzerland. If I'm not mistaken, you are Swiss. So this is really special to have you here. And you will speak on the topic, You are never alone. And I was going to ask if someone needs a translation. Braucht jemand eine deutsche Übersetzung? Good. Then just second request. Please, everyone, move closer. And I wish you a happy Sunday. Hare Krishna.
So welcome you all for this Sonntagsfest. I'm very happy to see you all here, especially that you came to the temple at this sunny day. I was just for 10 days in Belgium and Germany, and I've never seen the sun. So it's a nice event. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says we should not be disturbed by happiness and distress, but nevertheless, I was so happy to see the sun today. I'm Swiss, I'm living in the United States, have you heard before. Today it's a sort of ending a circle for me, because I joined based on the Zurich temple. What happened is in 2001, a Sankirtan party, this is a party of devotees, came to Brig in Wallis and distributed books door to door. And my wife took 3 books, and actually when I came home, she took 1 book and said, this book is for you, you have this book, you read this book. This book was Der Weg des großen Abschieds from Satchidananda Swami. It's a book about pilgrimage to India and actually the loss of all our attachments. And when I finally had read this book in 2002, I came to the temple because I had some questions. I had an appointment up front, but when I came here, nobody was here. So after 10 minutes, a young man came and said, what do you want? I said, I have read this book and I have some questions. He said, I'm here only for 2 weeks. I can definitely not answer any questions you have, but in 3 months, there is actually a Swiss summer camp in Dole in France. At this time, Switzerland had a farm in Dole. I don't know if it still exists. And you should go there. All your questions will be answered, and I followed actually the instructions. And that was the start of my Krishna consciousness. So I'm very grateful to the devotees of the Zurich temple who have shown me the way to come a little closer to Krishna and actually practicing Krishna consciousness since then. So before we start, we are glorifying the Lord, singing Jai Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Subhadra. Jaya Gaurani Jai, Jaya Gaurani Jai, Jaya Gaurani Jai, Jaya Gaurani Jai. Jaya Gaurani Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Sunyamani Vaskantare Shantarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I would like to speak this afternoon on a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then if you have some interest, I would speak a little bit about our growth strategy in North America, the ISKCON growth strategy in North America. Maybe inspire you a little bit to see how in other continents actually Krishna consciousness is spreading. And I would like to end the class with some of my favorite Krishna Leelas to inspire all us to hear about Krishna, to learn more about Krishna, to learn more how he interacts, how he behaves, and how is his day in and day out life. So I'm speaking about the verse from 3:28-35 from Srimad Bhagavatam. For our newcomers, we have three important books. Our first book is Bhagavad Gita. It's a sort of our Bible, where Krishna gives us the basics of Krishna consciousness, how we would come to him. The second level of books is Srimad Bhagavatam. It's 18 volumes, 18,000 verses. It gives us deeper knowledge about Krishna, about his devotees, and leads us to the path that we can actually understand him much better. And last but not least, we have Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is sort of the PhD studies of our Krishna consciousness. So I will say the word in English: when the mind is thus completely freed from all material contamination and detached from material objectives, it is just like a flame of a lamp. At that time, the mind is actually dovetailed with that of the Supreme Lord, as inexperienced as one with him, because it is freed from all the interactive flow of the material qualities. So first of all, this is a part of the third canto where Kapila Dev, the son of Devahuti, is actually answering the questions of his mother. Kapila Dev is an incarnation of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada says us, the Lord has incarnations like the waves of the ocean. So there are so many incarnations in different times. And here, Kapila Dev is actually the son of the mother, and she's asking him, how can I actually come closer to God? How can I practice, And in this section, he speaks about Ashtanga Yoga. These are the 8 levels of yoga, which have the goal, finally, to be in complete samadhi. Samadhi means complete focus on Krishna and nothing else, complete focus on God and nothing else. And this is, of course, from another time frame. Our scriptures define 4 different time frames, and this is in a time frame where people have been living 100,000 years. And the father of Kapila Dev, he was actually meditating for 10,000 years. And he meditated on the Lord for so long that the Lord actually appeared in front of him and told him that he will have a son. He will appear him as a son, as himself, the Lord himself, Okay. And Srila Prabhupada says that what actually happens in Astanga Yoga, it happens in devotional service. Devotional service means loving service to the Lord. We have been just singing the holy name of the Lord, it's devotional service. You're hearing now class, it's devotional service. But whatever activities we do, day in, day out, we can do as an offering to the Lord. And when we do it in such mood, then we spiritualize our activities. Otherwise, we are on the material platform. Because we have two basic activities, either when it's the material platform, or we are on the spiritual platform. And so in devotional service, all the different aspects of Astanga Yoga are actually included, and therefore we can have the same path. Here, we reach the highest path that actually we are so cleansed that we can see the Lord face to face. In Bhagavad Gita, our Bible, Krishna says to Arjuna, a devotee of the Lord, you need the eyes to see me. So he gives him the eyes to see actually the universal form. He gives the eyes to see the Lord in his four-arm forms, Lord Vishnu. And he gives him the eyes to see actually the Lord finally in these two-armed forms, which we are actually a picture or actually a copy of the Lord, in the way we are actually built in this planet. So the sloka says that if the mind is completely freed from all material contamination, so what does it mean for us? We actually are covered when we come to this world by different layers, and therefore we are not free and cannot see the Lord face by face, as we should actually do. One basic element of our teachings is that we are the soul and not the body. As the soul, we are internal, we are full of knowledge and full of bliss, and in this state we can completely see the Lord face to face, serve the Lord face to face, being part of his different adventures and so on. But we had a special reason why we came here, because we wanted to be the controller ourselves. We wanted actually to experience happiness, or not happiness, not correct, experience gratification ourselves. We wanted to have sense gratification. And therefore, when we came here, we have been covered by this desire, by this ego, this false ego, which we want to serve ourselves and not the Lord himself, And interesting enough, Vaika just came from the Vyasa Puja of His Holiness Satchidananda Maharaj in Golokadam. It's a temple in Germany. And he shared with us that when he met Srila Prabhupada the first time in London, he was not yet sure if he wanted to actually join ISKCON. So he was asking Srila Prabhupada after a class a very critical question and said, how could the Lord create such a world where so many bad things are happening, so many people are suffering, from bodily ailments, of course, to wars, to cheating and so many things. And Srila Prabhupada was actually pausing for a moment and said, you created the world. And Satchidananda Maharaj said, I was shocked. What does it mean? How do I create this world? So then Srila Prabhupada was explaining that the government does not want to build prison houses. But as some people are not following the rules of the government has to build prison houses so that they could actually be imprisoned and hopefully actually learn out of their experience and come back to another level of consciousness, And the same happened because we all wanted to enjoy ourselves. We wanted to control, to be the controller ourselves. Krishna had to create this world. And when we came to this world, we are covered. But here in the verse it says, when we're completely freed from all this material contamination, it's like the dust of a mirror. When the mirror is completely cleansed, then we can properly see. And detached from material objectives, so that we don't have material desires anymore. Our only desire is to actually serve the Lord. At this time, the devotee and the Lord, they are one. Not one in a person, they are still individuals, but one in desire. One in seeing them constantly each other. And therefore, the whole mind is completely free from any other desires, any other attachments in this material world. So that's the essence of the sloka today, you know. Huh? So we may ask, is it even possible? And of course, specifically our Srila Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, when he once was asked, when did you see Krishna the first time? And he said, I was born. Huh? So Krishna came from the spiritual world. He was requested to come and spread this ancient knowledge actually all over the world, specifically the Western world. You may have heard that he arrived 1965 in New York. So he came to the West. So he actually could see Krishna always, you know. And when he was in front of the Lord, for us it's clear for our newcomers, the Lord is not just a form, like maybe in Christianity. I was a Roman Catholic before. We think it's a statue. But for us, the Lord is really present. So he could speak to the Lord. The devotees have seen, actually, Srila Prabhupada speaking to the Lord, you know. And most of the time, he completely had discovered from maybe about 3 times in his 12 years of actually teachings in the Western world, or all over the world. 3-4 times, he completely went into samadhi where he was completely drawn into some adventure with Krishna, you know. And the devotees around, they could experience such a potency of the atmosphere that they felt they had been completely sucked up. And normally after 2-3 minutes, Srila Prabhupada would come back and said he was actually very humble, and he did not want that the devotees would experience that. So he said, in the future, please just chant the holy name if something has happened again. We have another devotee, a devotee in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 9th canto, Ambarish Maharaj, you know. It says that Ambarish Maharaj was using all his abilities just to serve the Lord in one way or another. His ears to hear about the Lord, his eyes to see the Lord in the temple or to see his holy places, and his hands to sweep the temple of the Lord, and his legs to walk to the holy places, and so on. His senses to smell the flowers or the tulsi leaves offered to the Lord. His tongue to taste the Lord's prasad, the Lord's offering, which we will do after this class. And his head to bow down, actually, to the Lord, and so on. So he is another example of actually somebody who would see always the Lord, and his whole life was only about serving the Lord himself, you know. So we may have 3 questions when we hear this topic. The first question is, are we actually discouraged that we may ever be able to achieve that? The other question is, okay, or how can we achieve actually this goal, that we can see the Lord always? And the last question may be, okay, how do we measure our achievements in Krishna consciousness so that we know where we are, you know? So I would like to speak first about the discouragement, you know. When Srila Prabhupada was giving a class, I think it was in India, and spoke about our goal is to go back to the Lord in the spiritual world, where every word is a song, every step is actually a dance, and we are full of bliss, and we only have one desire, to serve the Lord. He spoke about no attachments anymore to any material objectives. The devotees felt, how can we ever achieve that? He could feel that the devotees had been very sad when he actually said that, you know. So Srila Prabhupada took up this mood and said, okay, you know, I understand that you may feel it's very difficult to achieve. He said, by the way, in some other places that if I only make one real devotee of the Lord, my actually service was fulfilled, you know. But he said, okay, I know the back door to the spiritual world. So if you are 90% free from all material attachments, you can go back to Godhead. But the devotees had still been not happy and convinced, they can do that even 90%. So he said at 80%. But still, the devotees have been hesitating. So finally he said, okay, 70%, it is it, So Srila Prabhupada said, if we are able to actually do a big step on our consciousness, he knows the back door. He will help us actually to go back to Krishna and to do that. So we should not be discouraged. And we know most important for us is that we have association of devotees, that we speak about Krishna, we share experiences of Krishna, we may read together, we chant together like we're doing today. And we never know what happens at the end of our life. We know that we came into this life and it's clear that at the end of life, somewhere it will happen, that we will leave our body and our soul will move on, And devotees may be there and help us in this most difficult or most important moment by chanting to us or reading to us so that we can remember Krishna and actually leave this material world where is so much suffering and go back to the spiritual world, So how can we achieve that? Achieve is, of course, the topic that we should follow the process Srila Prabhupada has given us. The process is given us is we should chant the holy name. We may start with some mantras every day. We may start later on with full japa, which is 16, which is one round of 108 beats, so that we chant 108 times actually the holy name. And of course, when we are taking initiation in ISKCON, we are promising and committing that we are chanting 16 rounds of the holy name every day, And we should follow the 4 basic principles, that we should actually have a life in actually proper consciousness means for us being vegetarian, do not gamble, not have illicit sex. So these are the most important principles, which helps us to already have another level of consciousness, And if we do that, naturally we are cleansed. So this dust from our mirror is cleansed. And all of you who are practicing for some years, I think you all can prove that, because we all have some attachments, we all have different challenges with greed or envy or anger, whatever it is. And we can all feel that over time, when we really practice sincerely, that our envy is reduced, our anger is reduced, our attachment to different things, whatever it may be, is reduced. The attraction to the opposite sex is reduced. So we all can experience the process functions. It brings us to another level. What is needed is sincerity. Srila Prabhupada asks us to be sincere, When we chant, we should really chant and focus on the holy name, not think about our shopping today or our different tasks we are doing during the day, so that actually we are focusing on the Lord and getting the full benefit of our service. And of course, we are trying to do some service at the temple, service for devotees, service for other people, in the mood that we serve Krishna through this service, and which helps us to cleanse, So we should stick to the process. If we want to move forward, of course, we're looking for a spiritual guide. As we have somebody teaching us actually to ski or teaching us to drive a car, also in our spiritual life, it's most important that we have a guide, a guru who helps us to actually make step forwards and bless us, Krishna is always looking for us, He's always looking for us. So in the case of Gopakumar, in another book, he was so hankering specifically for Gopakumar, which he says he hankers for all of us to come back to him. He came even himself and broke his basic rule that he's not interfering in our little free will he has given to us, that he came as his guru and instructed him to chant the Gopal mantra and actually accelerate his speed or his development back to Godhead. So the verse of source says that when we have the right eyes, when we are cleansed, we see Krishna, you know. But Krishna is always there. Sorry for the title of our talk today, You're Never Alone, because Krishna is always there. It's only about us first to remember Krishna, and hopefully one day, with all the blessings of the devotees and the blessings of the Guru and the blessing of Srila Prabhupada, that we will come to the level that we can see Krishna face to face. But it's up to us. And the main topic is for us to remember. So whenever we are in a situation, we should just think about remember. What do we want to remember? We want to remember that Krishna is there. In our best phases of life, in our worst cases of life. And we all know that if everything is fine and everything is going its way, we are thinking and we are happy, that's not the time normally we make spiritual progress. Krishna is giving us some challenges, because in the challenges we are naturally forced to remember, why are we here? What is the goal of life? How do we want to move forward, you know? Therefore, remember that Krishna is always there. Remember that there is a path to come to him. Remember that there is actually a way to be freed from all this, you know. My last question, okay, how do we see our advancement in Krishna consciousness, you know? For me personally, it's gratitude. There are many, I will speak about many different topics, but for me it's gratitude. As more I can be grateful to my Guru, to Krishna's arrangement in my life. Normally when we look back, we see how Krishna made so many arrangements that we finally took up the path to come to him, you know. As more as I am grateful, as more I can understand that my false ego is reduced, you know. It's not about me. It's all about my happiness. It's all about being important, having fame, having a good name, whatever. As more as can experience gratitude myself, I understand that I make some progress, you know. The other topic is, of course, the basic teachings of our scriptures is that we should always think of Krishna, never forget him. So as more as we naturally can sing about Krishna, it's also, of course, a sign that we make spiritual progress. Because as long as we are so covered, and as long as we are just thinking about our own gratification, Krishna will not be remembered often. But as more as we are able to do that, it shows us that, okay, we are making progress. I said before about the process functioning, you know, reduced lust, anger, greed, pride. So these are always subjects which show us that, okay, we are making progress. We are actually getting purified. Another sign is, of course, steadiness in our devotional practice. If we are not influenced by our environment so much, you know, even if we have a long festival, we finish our rounds. We for all the ones who are second initiated, we chant the Gayatri Mantra 3 times a day, and many other things. So this is also, of course, a sign. As more steadiness we show, as more we are actually making progress in our devotional service, in our path to Krishna. Chanting the holy name is most important in this age. The Lord appeared 500 years ago on the left side of the altar, on the right side, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, in this age where so much quarrel and cheating, the only way to really make progress is to chant this mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So at the beginning, it's a duty for most of us. Some of you may have come into the world with a complete other consciousness, but for me, I have to say, it's a duty to chant. But as soon as we feel some joy, of course, by chanting, if Krishna gives us some taste, that's of course also a sign that we're making progress in our spiritual life, you know. Next topic is eagerness to hear about Krishna, you know. If we actually move a little forward, we create this taste that we want to hear more about Krishna, want to know him more, how he looks like, how he dresses, What is he doing? How is his day looking like? And so many other things. And there are so wonderful descriptions in our scripture to hear about Krishna. The last maybe 3, humility. As more as we are humble, it shows that our false ego is actually reduced, and we are making progress. An important one in this world is compassion for others. As less we are focused on ourselves, as more naturally we have compassion for others. Compassion for others who are challenged in this life. Compassion for others who are in need. Compassion for others who need some inspiration. But also forgiveness, that we are able to forgive others. Because we know most probably we fail ourselves, and we are depending on forgiveness of others so that we can actually forgive the others. And also in this regard, increased patience, that we have patience for ourselves, but also patience for others. And last but not least, the desire to serve and not to enjoy ourselves, This is another way to see how we are making progress. So you may have many other ways to see your progress in spiritual life, but we have different measures. We can easily see how we actually can see we making progress in spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada summarized it very simply, and he said, if you're becoming less material and more Krishna consciousness, you are advancing. So less focused on material things and more on Krishna consciousness. And His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami, he was an incredible leader, a guru, GBC within ISKCON. He passed away about this year, 20 years ago. And he had this famous question, there are 2 dogs in your heart, which one is winning? So I say it again, there are 2 dogs in your heart, which one is winning?
One you're feeding.
Yes. One you're feeding more, thank you. One you're feeding more, the one is winning. So means if we are feeding the material dog more, the material dog is winning. If we are feeding the spiritual dog more, the spiritual dog is actually winning, So I think that's a wonderful example. So I would like to summarize the topic that the goal of our life is to sooner or later, hopefully in this lifetime, go back to Godhead. Because for our newcomers, for us, incarnation is clear. We are the soul and not the body. So the soul takes actually new bodies like we are changing clothing. But we have this endless circle of taking birth, leaving the body, dying, and taking another birth, whatever. So in our Krishna consciousness, our goal is to break this endless cycle so that we can go actually back to Godhead, And we are definitely there when we are completely cleansed and have no material connection anymore, no material contamination, no material desires. Then we can see the Lord face to face. We can speak face to face to the Lord. And what the devotee desires, the Lord fulfills. What the Lord desires, the devotee fulfills. At this level, we always hear that in our scriptures, devotees at this level, they say, you just tell me where to serve. I can go to hell because I'm in the same status. I will see you constantly. I can serve you at hell. I can sell you on a higher planet. Or if you call me back to Godhead, I'm doing that. Whatever you want for me to do, I'm actually doing that. And to get there, we practice devotional service, loving service to the Lord in so many ways. As I said before, we can every step in the morning, during the day, in the evening, we can do as an offering to the Lord. I spoke about our growth strategies. Do you have any interest to hear a little bit about that? Yeah. Okay. So Krishna consciousness means ISKCON started in North America 60 years ago. It's the 60th birthday of ISKCON. In 1966, Srila Prabhupada arrived in 65. In 66, he established actually ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in North America. And in North America, we have currently about 150 centers. Centers, we mean, I will say more about centers in details and temples. Centers are actually centers where regularly programs are happening, like this Sunday program, but there are no deities installed, and devotees bring some deities, forms of the Lord from home, and they worship them there and bring some prasadam, food from home. So it's a very low-cost program. And the others are temples like here, where we have 7 days a week, morning to night, we actually serving the Lord on the altar, which is very intense from the human resources side. As an example, in New Vrindavan, we have so many forms of the Lord. We need every morning 11 pujaris. A pujari is somebody who serves the Lord on the altar. So it's a very intense service, you know. So we have currently about 150 centers and temples. We have been reasonably successful in the last 10 years, means from 2014 to 2024. We opened about 20 new temples. Construction of 20 new temples. We practically doubled, more or less, the number of centers. We doubled book distribution, but more or less the mood was always maintenance. Maintenance is so difficult, it's so challenging. How can we get out of this maintenance? Because, you know, we need funds to actually maintain the buildings, we need funds to organize our festivals, we need to maintain the devotees who are serving actually the Lordship, and, you know. So then the topic came up, okay, how can we change this mindset? Because the world is open nowadays, everybody is so challenged at this time, so under stress, so under pressure, so in anxiety. So people really need help to find some peace in this world, you know. And we created this brand 335. 35 stands for 2035. 3 stands for 3%. So in 2035, we would like that in North America, 3% of the people are practicing Krishna consciousness. That does not mean they're initiated, but we say they chant maybe 1 round a day, or they are actually participating 20 times in the same program. So there is some steadiness. They really want to steady. They have some taste to be there, and they want to continue. Okay. So you may ask, why 3? We have in America about 1.2% actually residents of Indian background. And many temples in the US have a practically complete Indian immigrants and Indian residents congregation. And Srila Prabhupada, of course, told us that we should take care of them, of course, but we should preach to the locals in addition to that. So to really show a difference from 1.2, we came up with this 3. 3% would mean 12 million people in America, or in North America. It's Canada and US, you know. If you ask us, how many are you today? It's about 400,000. So it's 30 times more. So this is for sure a goal Srila Prabhupada would call the rhino goal, a rhinoceros goal, something which is so far ahead that Srila Prabhupada said, if you are able to do it, you will be the hero. But if you don't do it, everybody will say, of course, it was so difficult. Okay? So we transformed this a little bit in another way so that we can easier count, because it's difficult to count all the people who are chanting 1 round and so on. And we said we want to have 1 center for 500,000 people. So for every 500,000 people in North America, we want to have 1 center. That would be 772 centers in 2035. We are now 150, so we say every temple should add 2 centers from 25 to 30. 2030, and 3 temples or 3 centers from 2030 to 2035, so that we'll be able to reach that, you know. But I can share with you some other numbers. The Jehovah Witnesses, the Zeugen Jehovah's, they have 10,700 centers in North America. So say, what's coming on? How could we limit us ourselves to actually such a small number? Because there are other faiths. Of course, the Christians and the Roman Catholics, they have many more centers, but the Jehovah's Witnesses are a little younger in their development, so they have 10,700 centers. And we don't like to say it, but McDonald's has 13,000 branches, so we say they're practically up to them. So we want to actually develop at least the 772 centers. And you can imagine what does it mean for Switzerland. If we are 9 million or whatever, soon 10 million, it would be 20 centers or 18 centers. So there is a lot of, if we would transplant this idea, this vision to Switzerland, Interesting enough, in America there are many mega churches. And mega churches where 10,000 people attend the program. 10,000 people. So it's a stadium. Of course, it's covered inside, but it looks like a football stadium or a soccer stadium, you may say, in Europe, And they found out in a research, if people are in a radius of 27 minutes driving, they attend regularly and they offer service. If they're outside of the circle, they actually don't attend regularly and they don't offer any service. So that's an example for us also that, we should have centers in an environment where we have a quick access to a center so that people are more encouraged to come and more encouraged actually to participate and offer service, I just want to mention one example in Toronto, the Toronto Temple in Canada. They have in 1.5 hours radius 14 centers. And for the temple president, everybody's thinking, I will have less participants in the Sunday feast, and I will have less donations, and how can I manage my temple? By Lord Chaitanya's mercy, everybody has more attendees, everybody has more donations, So this is really the example Krishna has given to us, that this is possible, and we can actually move forward, and with your blessings we may be able to reach the Rhino goal. So we want to be the instrument, because in our scriptures it says that the holy name will be heard and chanted in every town and village. And what we are trying to do, we will be far away from every town and village, but at least we would make some progress in the next 10 years. So I'm a little short, but I would not like to miss to share with you one or two leelas, if that's okay. Yeah? Okay. I would like to start with the Man Leela. Man means anger. So we have, for our newcomers, Krishna, and he expanded himself in a female form. Her name is Radha. Okay? And they have taken, actually, incarnation on this planet 5,000 years ago. And by some curses, they could not be together in public. So therefore, they could not in public interact with each other. But of course, as they are one together, they always hanker to see each other, have association with each other, and so on. So as they could not actually communicate with each other, the way Radharani was actually having her face set up and her hair would indicate when she would like to see Krishna and have his association. So today, or this special day, she had 8 dots on each part of the face. This would mean she would come with the 8 Astasakis. These are the 8 girlfriends, the closest girlfriends to Radharani, the gopis, the Astasakis. And she had one point on her skin. What is the right word? Yeah. It means Krishna would come alone. So sometimes there are 2 devotees, only 2 devotees, they can be present. Madhumangal and Subal, if Krishna meets Radharani, but he should come alone. Okay. Radharani had 3 earrings in each other, hanging on his ear. Each earring means 24 minutes. So in 72 minutes, she would like to see Krishna. The Astasakis, the 8 gopis would be there. Krishna should come alone. And she had a little branch and leaves of a tamal tree in her hair. That would mean that Krishna should meet her next to this tree. Okay. So the gopis and Radharani would go there in a little grove. They would prepare everything to meet Krishna. They would have some sweets. They would have musical instruments, some decoration, whatever. And Radharani was waiting there to see Krishna. But Krishna was not coming. And not coming. And not coming. So finally, Radharani got so angry. She became so angry that Krishna would not come, that she was completely in herself, not actually acting on anything out of her. So finally Krishna came. So he approached Radharani with his glances, looking at her, no reaction. He was speaking nice words into her ear, nothing happened. He tried to touch her, nothing happened. So he could not understand what's going on. So finally he reached out to one of the Ashtasakis, one of the gopis, Lalita, and said, Lalita, you have to help me. Radharani is not reacting on all my advances. So Lalita would go there and finally could bring Radharani out of the anger. But in this case, Lalita was chastising Krishna and said, you don't do this ever again, that you are late. Otherwise we will never meet you again. And then, of course, Krishna and Radhi would meet with each other, have association and so on. But then suddenly Krishna said, maybe one day I should be in Man, I should be in anger. So about 3-4 days later, they met again, and this time Krishna was in anger. So when the Radharani approached Krishna with her glances, with her sweet words, with her different interactions and actions of his face and so on, Krishna was not moving, not giving any reaction. She tried everything. So she was completely helpless. So here is also Lalita. Lalita went there, I'm going a little shorter. Lalita went there, no success. She went to Vishaka. Vishaka went there, no success. But now Radharani, she was crying so much that she could not actually have any interaction with Krishna. So she was crying and crying and crying, and tears have been flowing from her eyes in an incredible quantity. So that they have been next to Yamuna. Yamuna is a holy river in this place. The Yamuna would flow over. And suddenly Yamuna as a person came out of the river and said, what's happening here? Why are you disturbing me? And Radharani said, oh, I am so sorry, you know. Krishna is in Man and I have no way to bring him out of Man. So then Yamuna said, okay, you want me to help? He said, yeah, for sure. Said, okay, let me try. So Yamuna would actually, as a person, walk into another grove. And sometime after, she would come out, And she would come out and actually was completely dressed like Krishna. Yellow dhoti, black chadar, peacock feather, flute in her hands. And as soon as Krishna would see himself as Yamuna, he would come out of his Man, So Radharani was so happy that this happened, and actually Krishna was out of Man. So she said to Yamuna, how can I ever reciprocate with you? So you have everything. Krishna is sporting in your waters. He's always walking along your river. You have these wonderful lotuses in your river. I don't see anything I can give you. So finally, Radharani said that from now on, in my left hand, I will always have a lotus, the lotus which are growing in your river. And in the right hand, I will bless you and bless all of the devotees. So if you go to a Hare Krishna temple and you see Radha and Krishna in the form, you always see that on the left hand, Radha has a lotus, and on the right hand, she is actually blessing all of us, I would just like to give my last one. It's the stolen ring. The stolen ring. So normally in autumn, there is a big dance. I don't want to go into details. The Rasa Leela dance, where Krishna dances with all the gopis. And Radharani wanted to learn some new dance steps for this Rasa Leela dance. So she arranged through Lalita that actually Krishna would be alone and actually teach her some new dance steps. So she would go there, and Krishna was, of course, very happy to have association with Radharani, and actually he was teaching her some dance steps. And when this happened, after Krishna would go his part and Radharani would go home, and she was so happy and so pleased. the devotees, the gopis, the Astasakis would undress her, you know, and they got all this jewelry and clothing off. But finally they found that the ring is missing. The ring Radharani's mother had given her was missing. And they looked again into all the clothing and whatever, but could not find the ring. And said, oh, of course, Krishna, you know. He is always mischievous. It's for sure that Krishna has actually stolen the ring. So then they would think about, okay, how can we get this ring back, you know? And Radharani, she is so humble and of course so focused on Krishna. She had no solution herself. But Vishaka said, you know, we have to steal the ring. Said, how can I learn to steal? Said, you know, I will teach you, you know. Because we know that after every lunch, Krishna's taking a nap on the Mother Mangal's legs. So when he actually sleeps, we go there and we steal his flute. We steal his black chadar. We steal his peacock feather. And of course, we have to find the ring. So Radharani said, oh, if you help me, we may be able to do that. But, you know, I have never stolen anything in my life. So, of course, 2-3 days later, actually, they went to the forest where actually Krishna was herding the cows with all the gopas. And as predicted, he was sleeping on Mother Mangal's lap. So then they approached him and quickly took his peacock feather, the flute which was lying next to him, his black chadar, and actually had to find in his kurta the ring. And they found the ring. And they slowly moved away. And they've been so happy. When they came back and met all the other gopis, they celebrated because now they had stolen something from Krishna, you know. So then the big question is, what will happen now? How will Krishna back all these items? So some days later, 2 elder ladies come to the front of the palace where Radharani would live, you know. And they would cry out for Krishna and say, Krishna, we miss you so much. Krishna, please come and give us your association. Oh, Krishna, we need you. Krishna, we need your help. And they would crying and crying. And Radharani heard that. And she said, oh, no. These devotees, they are so connected to Krishna. They have such an eagerness to see him. So I have to help them. So what would she do? She would dress as Krishna. So he would put on the black chadar, the peacock feather. She had a yellow dhoti. She would take the flute, and she would go out there in front of the palace to actually give association to these 2 old ladies. But these 2 old ladies who have been there, Krishna and Mother Mangal, and as soon as Radharani was there, they would quickly catch all the items they had been stealing from Krishna. And of course, they had a happy end all together. So, thank you for giving me the chance to share some of the Leelas. You know, to hearing the holy name is very wonderful for our heart. To hearing the Lord's adventures, the Lord's Leelas is giving pleasure to our heart. And it's said that we should do both. We should hear about Krishna, and of course, we should sing about Krishna in this holy name. So, thank you so much for your attention. Are there any questions, comments? Yes, Prabhu.
You mentioned this percentage that you want to open so and so many temples and centers in North America. I was just wondering, why is the focus on opening more centers and temples and not more on farm communities? Because that's my understanding. Temples is of course very good for preaching, but it's more for brahmacharis. And I think with farm communities, we have so many grihasthas in our community to show them, we preach, but then we show that's how we live. And if we just open up centers and centers and centers, but we cannot show them how we live. So my question is, why is the focus more on centers than on...
Yeah, thank you. Very interesting question. First of all, I have to say we have numerous farm communities in ISKCON. In North America, all the big temples, they have a farm nowadays. Dallas has a farm. Houston has a farm. Baltimore just opened a farm. We have in northern Michigan, we have 2 farms. So there are many farm communities, you know. But the general understanding, of course, is that in North America, we are very much a congregational movement. Brahmacharis are a rare species in North America. You don't see so many brahmacharis, you know. So our members are congregational members. They have a family, they work, they come to the temple, they do some service at the temple, and so on. So for them, their normal life is that they have a house, they have a family, they have to maintain their family, and therefore they work, you know. And of course, we have the other part. We have the devotees who live on farms and actually serve there. But farming in US is, of course, something Srila Prabhupada asks us to do, but it's financially not beneficial. Because, you know, you cannot get the reward of the milk in actually the energy which is going into taking care of our cows, you know. It should be about $20 for actually 4 liters, you know, a gallon in North America. But you can buy the milk for $3, you know. So it's very difficult. Also, the farming in New Vrindavan, we grow a lot of food. We are far away from self-sufficient as we be, but we grow a lot of food. But the food we grow is so much more expensive than, of course, you could buy it at the next supermarket or a wholesale supplier of you know, different vegetables you need for our vegetarian prasad, you know. So first of all, the topic is that our congregation is a little different, and we have many farms, but the farms need a lot of financial support to actually survive, you know. But I want to show you something else. We had just Mother Urmila teaching us career dharma, okay? And in this career dharma, she finds new words for Shudras, Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and actually Brahmanas, because we have heard also many lectures and we have such a close thinking what it should be, okay? So she defines them as actually as artistry, with the main goal, they create something which is beautiful and they want to serve the others. Money is not the forefront, okay? Then she defines Vaishyas as resources. They are always thirsty about more money, creating more business and whatever, because they maintain the one in ideas, the Brahmanas, they create the Kshatriyas, she calls them government, and they actually finance the artistry people. So, and their main goal is actually growth. And then we have the government, they want to actually serve the people and be actually neutral and help them, you know. And last but not least, you have the one in ideas, okay? So based on this understanding, we all come to this world with a specific characteristic, a specific dharma, okay? And my dharma maybe I feel in government. Somebody else is more Brahminically inclined, only wants to read scriptures, teach scriptures, teach and so many things in ideas. Others are in artistry, they are painting, they are actually doctors, they are carpenter doing wonderful furniture and so on, you know. So based on these 4 definitions Mother Urmila shared with us, it was a complete eye-opener for me, okay. So therefore, not everybody is ready to be a Vaishya in our terms and actually work on the farm and take care of the cows, you know. So we have others, they are more in government, they actually are maybe policemen and they are actually politicians, or they are actually in our term a temple president or GBC or so on, the supervisor. And then we have the Brahmanas, you know, which we all experience, you know, the real Brahmacharis we can see, they read the whole day, they like to share, they go out and preach, they go on Sankirtan, whatever, you know. So that means that we have to find a solution for the characteristics of each of us, which we naturally take or come when we come to this world, you know. So that's was for me a real eye-opener. And I say that over time, Mother Urmila will change ISKCON in this world, because we always speak about Varnashram Dharma. But Varnashram Dharma is many times focused only on farms. But we cannot all live on farms only, because we have this other aspect. So thank you much for the question. Did I answer your question properly? Thank you. Thank you. It's 5:05, so we should end here. So, Brantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Krishna Prabhu ki jai.
But it's